Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I'm sorry I can't help but laugh at this topic. I just felt I needed to make a video on this one because a young powerlifter I know actually trains very hard, quite genetically gifted. I think he's going to do really well in the next few years, but he was telling me in confidence that a coach that he knows is trying to tell him he needs to train on a different training schedule because he needs to try to figure out when his testosterone levels, his natural production, the kid's like 18, when it hits the peak in the day, and train during that time because he will be the strongest. And I'm sorry, but this type of advice, and I hear things like this from time to time of, again, people trying to focus on transient fluctuations in the normal range of production of various hormones. I don't care whether it's testosterone, HGH, cortisol, and trying to time things around these or facilitate their production. And guys, this is a waste of time. When you're dealing inside the normal ranges of these hormones, you do not see significant or even measurable differences in things like anabolic response, strength, and things like that. Now, there are a lot of factors that will affect your training, but when you deal with that, do you want to know the truth? This is true of men and women both. You know when your testosterone is the highest? First thing in the morning. Do you know when it's the lowest? In the evening. If a person doesn't match this, they're a genetic outlier. They're the exception to the rule, and actually, to be honest, I don't know if there has been an exception found, or if 1 in 20 people are the exception, or if there's not a single exception anywhere on earth to this. I actually don't know. But I know that the overwhelming majority and the general trend is that is what happens to us as a species, unless maybe it might be slightly different if we're on a weird sleeping pattern. If you do shift work, it might in theory change, but I can't confirm that. That would be hypothetical. So trying to work around something like that and it's silly, because that would just mean everyone should train first thing in the morning. Aries, what are you doing? Sorry about that. I need to let the cat out. Aries, go out. All right, I'm back, and that is why he is called Aries. I named him after the god of war for a reason. All right, now that Aries is out of the room and he's not flipping the seats off the couch. Where was I at? Okay, so it's silly to do that, and the reality is if that was true, then everyone would perform their best in the morning. Yet that's not true. There are people who perform best first thing in the morning. There are people who perform better later in the morning. There are people who perform best in the evenings as far as their lifts go. You should, as a person, if you're trying to optimize on stuff, which again can be a silly word, you need to train when you feel you're strongest and have the most energy for you as an individual. If you have the option, you're not a professional athlete, you may not have the option. Your work schedule might not allow for it, so you train when you can. But are you likely to see a large difference? Probably not. Training at your ideal time for your body when you're strongest still might, over the course of a year, only facilitate 0.5% better progress, 1%. So if your work schedule doesn't allow for it, it's not a big deal. This becomes a big deal for people who are very serious elite level athletes, because 1% could be the difference between first and fifth place. But for everyone else, it doesn't matter that much. I wouldn't worry about it. But if you want to try to optimize on it, train when you're the strongest and have the most energy during the day. And it's going to be roughly similar times, or a broad range of times. Whether it's first thing in the morning or late in the evening is probably going to be the same for you most of the time. Don't try to chase something like transient fluctuations in a single hormone, because there's probably 5 or 6 or 10 different reactions going on in the body, in that person's mental alertness, their neurology, their endocrinology, that means that they're actually perform slightly better in the evening versus the morning. It's not going to be based upon a single hormone that we know matters very, very little inside the normal range. Testosterone really only starts to matter when it drops from male levels down to female levels, or when it starts going 5, 10, or 20 times higher than normal range. Because if you guys think that athletes, serious athletes and top-level athletes out there are only doubling or tripling their testosterone levels, you have no clue what's really going on. So it's a waste of time chasing this. So train when you feel best and you feel strongest and the most energetic personally, if your schedule and life allows for it. All right, guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go.